Since menopause has started, there's 22 symptoms or more. I had all of them. And
Wow.
I'm working through it. Once we're in menopause for the rest of our lives. And so that's half the world. And we're not talking about it enough.
All right. So I want to welcome Reggie back to the show. She is our longtime guest and friend. She has her own YouTube channel. She's an influencer. She, does. I'm assuming you do some coaching still. Or?
I still do coaching.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
I'm a holistic nutritionist certified.
Okay.
I wanted to get that done and really do more research and get more, take more of a deep dive in dietary needs and how it affects our health, but also how we can live our optimum level of health no matter what age we are.
We have come and we've talked about many different subjects. Spoiler alert, Reggie is over 50 years old, which, I always like people to know that, because if you don't tell them, they're never going to know. She just looks so young and youthful, but she focuses on, or at least right now, she's been focusing on issues with women over 50.
Yes.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring her on here was to talk about that test that you got, why you got the test, the importance of testing, what you're experiencing, maybe what are some of the things you're doing to help with what you're experiencing. So let's get into all of that.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get into it. Well, I have no problem sharing my own personal endeavors and what's happening in my life at this age now. So I'm 52 and oh my goodness, 53 next month. And time is ticking.
Time is ticking away.
Yeah. But the interesting thing about all this is I found at the beginning of the year that I'm in post-menopause, not even perimenopause. So the difference there can be night and day. Perimenopause, usually you have some type of cycle. I don't have a cycle because I've had a hysterectomy, a partial one. But I've always had, I thought it was pretty easy, pretty normal, with the effects of the hysterectomy. That was over 7 years ago. And finally, this menopause situation hit, post-menopause, that is what my doctors tell me. So I interviewed 7 different doctors, meaning not on camera, but only one on camera. But the other doctors I've interviewed, and they maybe thought they were interviewing me, but I was really interviewing them because it was about looking at the different types of medical advisors that you can work with, providers, but not necessarily just sticking to one, meaning OBGYN. OBGYN is the Western medicine, right? And then I worked with naturopaths and functional doctors that are on the alternative side, just like your channel, right? The healthy alternative. And I think it behooves a woman and anyone to work with both at certain times in their life, whatever that looks like. And if we don't really look at the foundation of where these issues are coming from, then, you got to set a platform so you'll be able to compare what you're doing today in dietary ways and lifestyle ways, right? If you don't have a starting point, you just saying, okay, I just want to lose 30 pounds. I want to lose 50 pounds, whatever the case. We know that weight is a symptom. It's not necessarily the actual issue. It's a symptom of the root of the issue, right? What is the root of it? I mean, what is really going on with our bodies that we are actually having these issues of weight gain and fat gain, right? Because we know that's 2 different things. If you are a certain weight and you're trying to lose 10 pounds and you don't see the weight scale, moving and not necessary, and you do some changes in your diet and your exercise, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that weight is the end all to what you're trying to accomplish. You're losing inches probably, and you have to, measure yourself and look at that and compare, as you're going through your journey. So for me, I will say, since menopause has started, and you don't really know when it really actually started. I'm looking back and I'm investigating myself in that. Really, I probably started about a year and a half ago. Uh,
Mm.
but the symptoms, there's 22 symptoms or more for menopause.
Wow.
So I had all of them. And
Wow.
I'm working through it. So the one of the main symptoms is what women complain about is one, weight gain, two, hot flashes. And then the
Mm.
rest is like anxiety, depression, mood swings, um, acne, hair loss. I mean, there's so many different symptoms that it could
Wow.
just go down the line. And so you're not crazy. So when you go to your OBGYN, they're probably saying, well, I'll just give you antidepressant, to deal with your mood swings. But that's not dealing with all the other symptoms of menopause. And menopause is a life change. It's not going away. It's not a disease that you can just get rid of. Once we're in menopause for the rest of our lives. And so that's half the world. And we're not talking about it enough, because it affects you in your workplace, it affects you in your relationships, and it affects, I mean, people get divorced over being in menopause and they didn't address it because they didn't know what it was,
Mm.
and why the woman was acting like, a biatch,
Oh.
right? Because I know I was snapping for no reason. And I wish I was told about this when I was 40
Mm.
and getting prepared for it.
See,
Uh,
and that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring you on today, because I think that as our world becomes more toxic, women are experiencing menopause earlier and earlier, and
yes,
men have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean? I mean, the women don't know what's going on.
right,
So,
right.
it's important to understand that and create support systems. And, like I said earlier, I want to get into like how we can kind of manage it better and create
Yeah.
a better situation and outcome. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just appreciate you coming on and speaking about it and educating us. So please continue. But I
Yeah,
just want
yeah, no, absolutely. I love it. I think the audience might know or not know about me is I've always been fasting for the last 4.5 years. And I was an extreme faster where I was constantly doing 72 hours, 48 hours, like on a weekly basis. And also, I was eating one meal a day. And listen, it kind of all blew up in my face in the last 6 months. Nothing was working. My weight
Mm,
kept going up. And literally, I will say I'm about 15 pounds heavier than I was last year.
mm.
That to me, I mean, there may be a lot to somebody else, but with my frame size, that's the heaviest I've ever been in my life is
Oh
now.
wow.
Yeah. And I'm not happy. So, but that is a part of this menopausal, when you're doing the shift in the switch over from the perimenopause to menopause, all of a sudden your weight jumps up and you can't explain it. And
Mm.
when you do the fast, I'll do the fast, and then the weight's right back on in 2 days, 3 days,
Wow.
and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm really looking at my diet. So now, for those symptoms of menopause, like for hot flashes, I found out for me, and everyone's different, but you should do investigating by elimination of certain categories or foods in your diet that will trigger the hot flashes. So
Mm.
spicy
Okay.
foods is one that can trigger. It can, and I love spicy food. So, and then two, for me, and I'm sure a lot of people will disagree, it's meat. Meat has triggered my hot flashes. And when I really
Mm.
stopped cheating with my whole food, plant based diet,
Yeah.
and then I'll say about 80% of my hot flashes have subsided.
Wow.
So that's a big deal. And I hope that us women would really pay attention to that and just test it out even. Because think about it, with animal protein, you are taking in the hormones of what the animal has, whether it's good or bad hormones, right?
Mm-hmm.
estrogen is the biggest thing about women that we need. But there's what I've learned so far is there's three different estrogens, the main estrogens. And so you have like estradiol, estrastrone, I can't even say estrone. And and then there's another estrogen. And so two of those estrogens are the estrogens that we don't need. It's for us having babies. So
Okay.
that's before menopause. So estradiol is what we need that keeps the weight off and that helps the mood swings and all those symptoms,
Mm.
So you can get this estrogen by your dietary needs as well, but you have to be 100% on the ball to really get it.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like the tofu, the soybeans, it's very good for us. I take a blood test probably every 3 to 6 month increments, especially now, more often to see if what's working in my diet. And
Right.
also, cholesterol does bump up. You'll see some points bump up when you go into postmenopause as well. So
Mm.
there's three diseases that you really, really need to be aware of that we are at high risk automatically when we're in menopause is one, heart attack, two, osteoporosis, and three, Alzheimer's, which is
Wow.
a biggie because I've seen that with my grandmother, my great grandmother. Yes, they were much older, probably in their late 80s when we actually realized that's what it was. And they passed in their mid 90s. But, these are the things that we have to pay attention to and preventative ways in your lifestyle and dietary that will help you work against these type of diseases that menopause puts you in a position that can happen.
Right. Where
Heart
you
attacks,
become
yeah, exactly. Because women, we have the warning signals are very different from a man. And with women, I mean, it could be our shoulder hurts or something.
mm.
And that's, you might be having a mini heart attack. And so no
Wow.
one tells us these things, and we really got to look into it and study, the effects and how there's just different ways that we handle, any kind of disease versus a man.
Well, that's the reason why I think our brands exist is because where there's a certain amount of information we're taught in school as children, depending on the level of education you get. But for the most part, it's going to be lacking no matter what level of education. There's always some personal responsibility because every person is going like you were saying earlier, women are going to experience menopause differently. You had all the
Mhm.
symptoms. Some women may only have two or three or five. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on is because I had recently partnered with a company that was offering my community discounts on blood tests.
Hmm.
The company's called Let's Get Checked, and they are
Great.
sponsoring the video. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of convey, because I just randomly saw that you were talking about like blood tests, blood work, and
Hmm.
I want to get into maybe some of the results or what you learned from that.
Sure.
But if you're checking your blood, a couple times a year, once a quarter, whatever the case may be, then it can, maybe it can get expensive or
Yeah.
whatever. And I like the way that Let's Get Checked kind of streamline the process, makes it very easy. You can call them or not call them, but you can email them and have somebody like help you walk you through your results because you got your results live and kind of
Yeah.
going over what it was. We don't speak that language. So it helps when someone's there to aid you. So I wanted to offer you all who are watching a link that can give you 30% off of like test kits. And I'm sure Reggie's going to talk about maybe some of the tests that she's done to kind of help gauge,
Mhm.
navigate this menopause thing. But I wanted to put that out there for you all because I thought it was a great partnership for us and Let's Get Checked.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that they have, medical professionals that can interpret the tests. But yeah, because a lot of tests, we think we understand some of them. And
Right.
yeah, you can understand bits and pieces, but you really should have a medical professional that will translate. layman's terms for you. For instance, on blood work that is so important for women to get, not just your regular panel that you would get at the primary, but also you need to get a thyroid panel. The
Mm.
thyroid panel, you're only going to see one aspect of thyroid on your regular, the surface panels that primaries do. I'm sorry, I don't know the actual name of that test, but T3 and T4 of your thyroid, you need to know both. And then there's a T3 free
Yep.
component, right? It's very important when it comes to menopause as well, because that's also can be a factor of weight gain as well, because you could have hypothyroidism,
Yep.
hypothyroidism, and or hyper. If it's hyper, that means your metabolism is going quite a little too fast, and then you
Fast.
probably, yeah, lost a lot of weight. But hypo, which I found that I was lower in that edge, but you may show in a thyroid regular test that you're normal. So you can't
See?
rule that out, until you get down into the nitty gritty of it. And a lot of doctors just don't do it, but you have to tell them to. You can't even live your life when you're going through an extreme version of it. And
Mm.
I found that a lot of African American women, like myself, and in my community, uh, it seems like they have the hot flashes worse than
Yeah, that's what I
are
heard.
seen with the Caucasians. And there are articles on that we will have harsher symptoms of menopause along with Hispanics as well.
Mm.
It's pretty interesting.
Now, so my question becomes, is that environmental or is that genetic? Because we're always taught, oh, it's just, well, it just so happens, it's your genes, it's your genetics. There's nothing you could do. That's just how it is. And
Yeah.
then come to find out it's something that we're consuming. There's some major difference in lifestyle that causes that to be the case.
Yeah. I trust me, I'm always suspicious about the environment. All the air we're breathing in, I mean, it's not like it was in the 50s and 60s.
Hmm.
So, we have to do more things to get back to, say, zero to normal levels than our parents had to do.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a different way of management of menopause today versus, 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely attacked from every level. And that's why it's so important for the detoxing. Uh, I think it's very important to continue to fast if you don't have some major adrenal issues. That's another thing. You have to look at that too.
Mm.
Adrenals get hit hard. And so that Dutch test that I mentioned is a urine test. And
Okay.
that's 2 days, four different parts to it of urine, dried urine that you would do. And so that's giving you a snapshot of, moment in time, but it brings up your adrenals and
Mm.
what that looks like. And then also your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Um, there's a lot
All
of
these
wrongs
Latin
and
terms.
yes. And so I found that, from that video, I was plummeted on everything on that test. Everything was like zero below the postmenopausal range that
Right.
they wanted to be in. And so that uh, doctor who is, she's a functional doctor and she's a chiropractor. And so
Okay.
she said it was probably the worst
Wow.
results she's seen. And that comes from what? Most likely it's stress. It's long-term stress.
Mm.
And so you have to look at the things in your life so everything else will work in conjunction. So if you don't make some changes, like whatever's causing the major stress, I mean, I'm a caregiver for my mom who had a stroke at
Right.
55, and again, menopausal, right? And that's an attack, basically, in the heart attack family, right? Even though it's brain. Uh, and look at those things because she had such high stress, but she had a different lifestyle. She was actually a smoker. Um, and so if we don't make those changes, the job, if it's high stress and that's killing you slowly, you're gonna have to find a way I mean, is it leaving the job? Is it just changing the type of job you're doing?
Right. Or the people that you
Or the
work with
people?
daily.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we know that people don't leave jobs, they leave their bosses, really,
Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah. They do.
And another thing I would say is, do you have a girlfriend or a male friend that you can actually talk to on a regular basis that will just help you, decompress? So
And
that's a
not
big,
add stress.
yeah, not have stress, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about the friends that have extra drama.
Yeah.
We're talking about the friends that really want to make sure your well-being is okay, and that they bring something to the table that would help you,
So
relax. Yeah.
yeah, people who are helping you and not detracting from your health, and there's a difference between people who we like to be around because they're entertaining, and there's people who give and they feed into us. And I think sometimes people don't know the difference between the two, because
Yeah.
if someone's entertaining you, they're giving you something, but all entertainment's not good entertainment.
Oh,
And
totally.
I
Yeah.
wanted to I wanted to touch on because we had a question earlier asking, because I want to kind of touch on
Yes.
solutions a little bit as much as we can.
Okay.
But someone said, can if you eat like organic animals, like I
Mhm.
guess farm raised,
Right.
does the quality of the meat matter versus just eating the Tyson from Kroger or whatever?
Well, it will be up to you. Your body will tell you if it's working, or it's okay for your body to handle. Just for me, like I said, when I went into menopause, you are now a totally new system. Your body is totally different than what it was yesterday.
Mm,
So things like I said that worked for me a couple of months ago are not working for me right now. But that just means I need to work on my adrenals, my stress levels. I mean, all that needs to be worked out before I can like hit it again in this, say, with extended fasting. So I've
mhm.
taken a break from that. But the meats, grass fed, if you're going to go that route, lean, grass fed, organic meats would be the best way to go. I probably wouldn't, I would stay away from the dirtier animals. And,
Would
I
that be like shellfish? Because I know women love seafood.
yes, we love seafood. And I was one of those people too. I love seafood, but if you can convert it, maybe even to salmon instead of, if that's a little tweak,
Hmm.
then maybe try salmon instead of trying, and that's wild caught instead of farm raised.
Yeah.
Uh, and like I said, it's up to you to make those choices. I'm just sharing what has worked for me, but also that I realize I just can't do any of it.
Good,
Uh,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
You see
So
that's actually a very good point, Reggie, because I tell people all the time, they gotta be like, Chris, what's the best fast to do? It's the one that you can be consistent with. It's the one that's gonna work for you. Every people are always gonna have all their ideas and stuff, but it's important once again for us to be present in our wellness journey. So as you all are looking for, solutions to either deal with menopause or postmenopause, or maybe you just want to try to be get ahead of it, you want to do what's working for you. Like,
yes, yes, because we
yeah,
can't say, all the solutions are not going to be right here as a in a general sense. Everyone's going to be customized, right, to the specific needs they have. For instance, alcohol. I know that's a trigger for hot flashes because it
huh?
turns into sugar. Because
Mm,
sugar is an alcohol is a trigger, but sugar is a trigger for everything. It's a trigger for
right.
cancer, right? It's a trigger for a lot of disease. So if you can get sugar, take one thing, even if I wouldn't try to jump in everything 100% because that
Hmm.
could set you up to fail. But I gradually went from one category to the next and started eliminating. So I
Right.
eliminated sugar. I even eliminated oil and what I cooking with. I
Mm,
eliminated salt for now, um, just to see
right. Right.
how I felt, because it's about how you feel, and,
Hmm.
and you're not trying to knock somebody's head off because you're having a mood swing.
Right. And
you know
I'll say this: when it comes to like the flavor, your palate, it will adjust based on the dietary changes. Because I know it sounds very like unappealing to make a lot of these changes. Oh, I've always eaten meat. Oh, I've
Yes.
always had dairy.
Oh,
But
that was me. That was me. I love my
yeah,
cheese. Are you kidding me? Oh,
yeah,
I love cheese.
yeah.
But yes, your taste buds will start to, it's like wine, right? You get the taste bud for different types of wines. If it's acquired taste,
It's an
right?
acquired taste.
Yeah. So it's acquired taste for eliminating these things, but it's not about taking away. It's about what you're gaining. You're
Mhm,
gaining excellent weight, not excellent weight, but your ideal weight. you're
mhm.
you're gaining optimum health in
Mm,
general and feeling better in every way. And that means affecting your hormones, balancing out those hormones that are all over the place. And because yeah, you can feel out of control when you're going through this time of your life, but
that
food will add to all the chaos when you're eating the wrong foods. Try it. Even try it for 2 weeks. If you could
right.
commit for 2 weeks and say, you know what, I'm not going to have meat for 2 to 3 weeks, even, and your body will tell you something different and see how you feel. Do you know that divorce rate goes up extremely high for
Mm,
women in menopause? I
I
mean,
believe it.
yeah. And so and if we came back and had balanced out our hormones, you really regret what you may have done, you know?
Mm,
Once you realize, wow, I really was kind of out of my mind in a way. In a way. So
yeah.
to think of.
That's, I had a guest on my show one time who was talking about that. She wasn't going through menopause, but she was dealing with heavy periods and just
Mhm.
heavy, everything comes along with it, right? All the PMS symptoms.
Sure.
And she told me, like, yeah, I lost relationships because of it. And what you're saying sounds similar to that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, no. And that's what led up to my hysterectomy because I had major fibroids.
Right, right.
And you probably talked about that in some of your videos, but
Oh,
um,
yeah.
of where this stems from, right?
Hmm.
I mean, one thing I would say is I used to perm my hair.
Right.
That may have been a fault, over, I don't know, how long did I do it? Like 20 years.
That
It was texturizing my hair, just to loosen up the curls.
Right, them beautiful curls. It's so crazy because it's like,
Crazy.
you know,
Yeah.
the and now what women are doing that they probably don't realize, because a lot of women are like, well, I'm natural, but you never see their natural hair. They're always wearing something on their head, and then you got to
Sure.
think, are you putting glue on your head? Because the,
Yeah.
the the trends have changed, right? Maybe women aren't relaxing as much, but they're gluing these weaves
Oh,
and
the lace
wigs and
fronts
the
and
lace fronts,
I mean,
and you have.
hey, I gotta say they look beautiful, but you know what?
But
I never really did it, with the exception of when I was in hosting broadcasting kind of things. They wanted you to have the straight hair, so I straightened out my hair, but I would, put in extensions. But
right.
they were just
But
clip-ins.
but what is the chemicals? What are the chemicals?
Yeah,
Forget the look.
yeah.
Because yeah, you look good, great. Now,
Mm,
20 years from now you're dealing with all these diseases. You don't know where they came from. Reggie, I want to respect your time. I know you've got some things to do today. I
sure, sure.
appreciate you coming on and just putting
Thank
a
you.
spotlight on this topic.
Yeah.
What is your social media so people can link up with you if they want, follow you,
Oh
whatever?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, please do. Reg Edited is called, so it's one word: REGEDITED. I know. I may have to change that just to my name, Reggie Sweat, but you can look me up under Reggie Sweat, and you can find me on Instagram and YouTube. Uh, yeah, now come check me out. And this is the subject matters we're talking about, but very important, back to get your lab works done first before you take on regimens of a huge weight loss program,
Mm,
anything like that. You want to make sure you're feeling pretty leveled out before you start really getting into serious fasting. I still fast every day. I do intermittent fasting. I'm still doing 18-6 or 16-8, depending. And
right.
but this is the extent that I can do right now. So you guys, if you want to do extended fasting, there I have videos on that as well as Chris, and I have done a lot of that. But and it certainly dropped 20 pounds, no problem.
Right.
With the menopause, though, until that levels out, the weight wasn't budging. It just
Makes
wasn't
sense.
budging. I'm like, it's a little joke that God plays on us. I think he's
Oh,
got a
man.
sense of humor.
It's important get that baseline. As I mentioned to you
Yes,
all earlier, we partnered with Let's Get Checked, so they're sponsoring the video. I want you all to check out the link. I put the link in there, 25% off on test kits. Get your
that's awesome.
baseline, and then you can do your follow-up blood work, and you can see not only how do you feel, like how are you feeling when you're doing these different changes, but then you can see it with the blood work, which
Right,
just helps to create confirmation that you're moving in one direction or another. And
right.
we want to get ahead of this, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So that we can
yeah.
age like fine wine.
Yep,
That's
age like fine wine, right?
yeah.
Hormones, cholesterol, all that. It all matters, and that's why you should know what your starting point is and where you're going with it.
See,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Reggie, it's a pleasure as always. And I definitely hope that you continue to progress in your journey. I appreciate you continue to share with us and be so open and genuine with what you're going through, because a lot of people maybe feel like this is more personal. We shouldn't talk about it, but it's like, how are we ever gonna, man, we
Yeah.
gotta talk.
You know what? I got over myself about the personal side of this because everyone is affected by it. And that means both genders. We're affected by menopause.
Exactly.
Either
We
way.
all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do good things with it, though.
All right. Well, thank you once again. Appreciate y'all all for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. Go check out Reggie, Reg Edited on YouTube and Instagram, right?
Thank you, Chris.
All
Always a
right.
pleasure, my friend.
Likewise. Be blessed, everyone.